Alrighty, hi everyone. It's Taylor Martin with Beauty Queens Galore, the pageant resource, and we are back with another one of our weekly interviews. Today, we are blessed to be with Miss Cosmos United States, Melanie Vaughn. Thank you so much, Melanie, for joining us today. Would you mind sharing with us a little bit about yourself to start us off?
Thank you for having me. So my name's Melanie Vaughn. I currently actually just gave up my title as Miss Cosmos United States. We just crowned our 2023 this past weekend, and she is wonderful. So I am living my first week without the crown, which is a little different, but the only thing that's really different is I'm not wearing a crown on my head. My crown in my heart is still there. My invisible crown is still there. But after the crown, I'm currently a teacher. And so during the day, I'm always teaching littles. And then I'm a dance teacher also. So by night, I'm still surrounded by them and I get to spend time with them. I stay at home. I have a dog and I have a baby on the way. So lots of new exciting changes that are coming afterwards as well.
Oh my goodness, so much like you said, so many exciting things, especially that baby. So were you pregnant when you gave up your title and like when you were holding the title?
Yes, ma'am. But
Okay,
the
what was that like?
It was not that bad. The great thing about Cosmos in particular is they have different age divisions and brackets. So I fall in the Ms. division, which you can be single or divorced, you can have children, things along those lines. And so it wasn't an intentional plan. So while I was able to carry my title, I was able to still be able to complete my platform. My goal with my platform was to be able to reach all 50 states, and I was able to do that, which is fabulous. I was able to make appearances and still get to see people. It just looked a little different towards the end where, you're having to take things a little bit slower. Maybe your distance traveling is a little bit shorter because you never know what to expect.
Yeah. And tell us why pageantry? Like why did you choose to compete, on that very first pageant? And what did that journey look like for you?
I decided to compete in my very first pageant not that long ago. I want to say about 5 years ago. For me personally, I am generally, you wouldn't guess it now, but I am generally a very shy person. People are terrifying to me because you never know what to expect on that first interaction. And I grew up wanting people to build a connection with me in some form or another. And I tried to find ways that I could relate to them, but I wasn't sure how because every individual is different in who they are. So I decided I was going to try pageantry and give it a try because not only does it embrace your confidence and help you build it, but it allows you to embrace yourself for who you are in your individuality.
Yeah.
So when I went out to my very first pageant, I had no idea what I was doing. I was walking around having a great time. I knew there was an X there. I had to stop there. Beyond that, prior to that, as a child, I watched Toddlers and Tiaras. So that was kind of my intro to pageantry. So, was I doing a glitch routine on stage? No, I wasn't. But I knew to stop at different points, much like they did. And my very first pageant was kind of my dive in because in interview, they didn't just ask you things like you would see stereotypically on TV. It was generally, what's your name? What do you like to do? Things that were about me. And I was like, me, not just what you're wanting to hear. So I got to start to express myself. And that helped me build that next pathway into what I wanted to learn about myself. So it became a journey of self discovery. So every day that I was existing in pageantry, I was learning more and more about myself. I was finding my voice. I was finding what I was passionate about rather than what other people wanted me to be passionate about. So when I got to my last pageant, which was a whole year ago that I participated in, that I got to talk about who I was, what I stood for, what I wanted to do to build brands, and not only build brands, build organizations, take them nationwide, take them internationally, and do that with my own pathway as well. So it was me, but also me within the organization.
And you mentioned right there at the very beginning, I thought it was just me, but like people kind of scared me too. Like I was like it is so weird because I'm a TV reporter, I do this and
Mhm.
I compete in pageants. So it's like everything I do is opposite of that. But um yeah, and it's interesting how you talked about that self-discovery process in pageants. So talk to us a little bit more about what that was like for you.
Yeah. So with me, I grew up more so a people pleaser than anything else. So whatever other people wanted to hear, what other people wanted me to say, I was kind of go with the flow kind of situation that I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted. I knew who I was, I knew what I liked to do, but was that the thing that everybody wanted to hear? Or was it what they were wanting to gain from me? And so I felt like along the way, I was kind of almost like if you had a brick wall, I was walking along that brick wall. There was never a way to climb over it and be able to find myself in the final answer. So one day, and it came from engaging in pageantry, when I was asked, what would you do if you were to win this title? That was a first experience of, if I were to do something, what would I do? Not what would the person beside me do, not what would the person behind me do. What would I do? My own personal experience. And it made me stop and think about it and say, okay, let's see, if I were to do this, it wouldn't be what they would do because I'm not them. What would I do? Because that's what was within me. And so it gave me the chance to be able to dive into the experience of, take it or leave it, this is me. And so I started to discover exactly what I wanted in life, what I wanted from pageantry, what I wanted to give to pageantry, and build that own discovery of myself and what I wanted to do with my life as well.
And I think everything that you just said, we hear it so much in pageants: be yourself, be yourself, be yourself. Like,
Mhm.
it's like a broken record at this point, and you can't really figure out how to be yourself. But I think you just very eloquently and understandably explain how to be yourself in pageants. Like, everybody kind of trying to do what everyone else is doing,
Mhm.
and you won your national title being yourself. Like, so for anybody watching, I want you to go back and listen to what she just said. But why Miss Cosmos? Tell us about the system. Why should people compete in the system?
Yeah, so Cosmos actually came into origination about 5 years ago. And I was, again, still new at pageants. I actually had gone to watch the state pageant that was here in North Carolina. One of my dance students was actually participating in the pageant. So I was able to help her out with creating her talent. And then I got to watch. And just the way that they put on the production was outstanding itself. It was beyond any kind of expectation that I've ever seen. And the staff for the particular pageant was so welcoming to you. It didn't matter if you were a contestant competing, a queen, or a visitor. They were welcoming you with open arms, offering you seats, talking to you, and communicating. And I was like, wow, I'm not even a part of this, and you're making me feel like family. So I decided that same year that I was going to compete at their nationals. And the way that I came up with that was the organization actually had a win a title situation where you had to write why you would want to win a state title. What would you do with your state title? And I expressed that, and it was a social media contest, and I ended up winning and attending nationals. And so I got to experience what nationals was, and it was amazing. So then I was, of course, still learning along the way, but the friendships that I made, the directors were outstanding. It was something that I wanted to continue. Crown or no crown, I was going to continue to come back.
Yeah.
And so I went again. And then the next year I got third runner up. And they gave me some wonderful feedback on what I can do better. And a lot of that was being more willing to continue to step out of my shell. They saw growth, they saw progress, but they said, we want to see you on there. Don't be nervous, because we always hold back a little bit as people. Our nerves are always going to get the best of us. We're always wanting to worry about, ooh, what if I do this? What's that going to do? What's this going to do? And so this past year, I decided, hey, I'm me. Let's see what happens. So I went out there and I did what I felt like doing. I was busy making wonderful friends rather than worrying about being at a pageant. We all get caught up and we're competing in pageants. We're competing, that we forget years and years down the road, you may lose your sash, you may dirty it up, your crown can tarnish. Those things aren't going to matter in the end. It's the memories that you make along the way. And my goal this past year was simply to make memories, have fun, and spend time with people. And so as I went through interview, as I went through state costume, things like that, I laid myself out there. And so it was wonderful to see the reward that came with it. And it wasn't the reward of just simply winning, it was the reward of the memories that came with it. I got so lucky to have such a wonderful court. But Cosmos is so unique. They have the hashtag the most beautiful girls in all the cosmos because they simply are the most beautiful. And it's not necessarily an exterior aspect, it's an interior beauty. You can have the biggest crown in the room, but if you don't have the biggest heart, it doesn't matter anymore. But they start the pageant with a mini miss, and you can be as young as 3 years old entering. And then, so it's so fun to watch the littles have so much fun. But they have a 3 to 5 division. They have, or a 3 to 6, I'm sorry. Then they have a 7 to 9. And then they have a 10 to 13. Then they have a 14 to 19. Then above that, they have a Miss, MISS, up to age 29, a MRS. So if you happen to be married, or an MS, if you unfortunately are above the age of 29 and you just absolutely want to still compete, or maybe you're divorced and you want to compete in pageantry. They have a division for everyone, and they've actually started rebranding everything. So they are working on building onto an international development. So originally there was a junior and up international court as well as United States, but the younger division was United States. They've actually just started the whole rebranding, and this new court gets to experience it. And they have a United States court, and the United States court will actually get to compete for an international title on a cruise ship. And the minis, littles, and juniors all are strictly international now. So anyone from everywhere can come and compete, which is wonderful that they're getting to express pageantry not just to one area, but everyone.
And you got me there on cruise ship. Wow. I've never heard of a pageant on a cruise ship before. That sounds really exciting.
Yeah, they actually, unfortunately, COVID kind of tweaked things a little bit, but they've even gone to Jamaica and done their international pageant. I mean, when they do it big, they do it big, and it's so much fun because, hey, you've got the cruise ship, you've got the free ice cream. Who can pass that up?
And you talked about going through your pageant journey. Isn't it interesting how it's not just your story, but a lot of people's other stories is the year that you gave yourself another goal other than just winning. You gave yourself the goal to make friends. You gave yourself the goal to make memories. Is the year that you won. You
Hmm.
know? And I think sometimes we get, like you said, we get a little bit too lost in the fact that we're competing, that we forget to make friends along the way. Um, and there you go, you won your national title that same year. So why no, that's not a question. What advice would you give a Ms. contestant who wants to compete in a pageant but is self-conscious about her body?
Well, the great thing is, God gave us bodies to be machines, to feel the way that we do, to exist. So it doesn't necessarily matter if you are a size 2 or a size 16. We all have the same goal of putting ourselves out there and doing our best at something new. You're trying something new, which is going to broaden your horizon into what you'd like to do with your life. It may build your public speaking skills. Being able to have interview, you're going through that experience of what can I do with this? So continuing to do that, that could help you in the occupational field of workforce. It's teaching you how to embrace some of these things because some of these people are moms, and we get so self-conscious about the mom body. However, it's a gift. You filled your own children with this body. You raised them and you get to see them standing beside you and know you did that. It's a way to celebrate your body for all the gifts that you've been bestowed and the gifts that you bestow upon other people as well. It's trusting in the fact that we all have the same goal of building family and support, and you can do that within a pageant. So it's putting yourself out there and trying something new, because when you do that, you're going to be able to make so many memories beyond any aspect.
And what does winning outside of the crown look like for you?
Winning outside of the crown.
I know that's a thinker, isn't it?
Ooh, that is. I feel like I hit the jackpot when I took my crown off.
Mm,
And only because it gave me the understanding of a legacy that's to follow me. There are people that I am a part of that set the bar for me, and it made me reach higher than anything that I could ever want to do. And just because I don't have that current crown on, who knows what the future means for me? But it does mean that I do want to continue to make goals. I do want to continue to be involved in the community. I do want to be able to help as much as I can with the food pantries, with being able to help in the Humane Society, the animal shelter itself, with the human interactions, with being able to help with free little libraries. The more that I can do in the community, because the biggest thing is that we all want change in the world, but it starts within yourself, and you've got to be the one to initiate it. So some people think just because your title is over that your job is done. Your job is never done. You've got to be a role model for everyone around you. Everyone wants to be able to see a difference in the world, but not many people are willing to make the first step to do so. So you want to be that person, be the winner of the jackpot. Take that first step, because everyone that's going to follow after you is going to be every single winning that you've ever gotten.
You mentioned there being a legacy for the queens to come after you, and that
Mhm.
leads me to your next question. What do you want to be remembered for, whether it's in life or in pageantry?
Oh, gosh. I want to be remembered for being someone who put others first. It could even be with my sister queens. It could be with the youth in the community. It could be with my peers. What I did was I always put them first, because being able to have their understandings of what they would like, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to do what they like, but you can tell other people, educate them about their platforms, educate how you can make a difference, educate how we can teach to be strong individuals. What can we do to make our voices be heard? What can we do to be able to be the inspiration for someone? What does it mean to take the steps to be an inspirational person? A lot of us don't know, but it actually is embracing yourself and knowing what you want to do with that. So for me, I wanted other people to see that good will always overweigh everything. Having a good heart, putting others before you, having a goal of helping, because a lot of times we forget help. Everybody needs help, including yourself. Not being someone who's afraid to ask for help as well. Being somebody who's going to understand that needs are going to be universal needs. How can we work together to create an ecosystem of positivity to spread without throughout the entire world and make that difference that we need to see as well?
And while we're on the topic of legacy, how important do you think it is for the current reigning queen to leave some type of foundation for her successor?
I think it's important because everybody offers something different.
Mhm.
Luckily, with my division, the legacy has been outstanding because everyone has been kind in some way or another, but also they all have something different that they're passionate about. So you're getting to leave your passions, and you can reach out to them, find out what those passions are, and continue to help them with that, whether it may be domestic violence, whether it may be child abuse, whether it may be ending world hunger. The different things that they have, you can continue to help them, which brings me back to that idea of help. So teaching in that legacy the idea of help and being able to reach out to them as well.
Looking back on your journey in pageants, do you think there is a right time to start in pageantry?
There's never a right time where it's one set time. Any time is the right time. You can be the youngest one in the room, you can be the oldest one in the room. It shouldn't limit you from wanting to branch out to express what you're passionate about, to reach out and be able to say, this is something I want to try. Some people simply for the experience itself.
Mhm.
But pageantry opens many doors to different things in the world that you would have never tried or you would have never even thought about if you didn't do that.
And talking about there not being a right time, do you think Ms. Pageants get the recognition that they should or that they deserve?
I think it's coming around a little bit more than it used to. I feel like a lot of times people bunch them into a separate entity, and they either can be forgotten or they're branched into other individuals. Like you could put a MISS with an MS with an MRS, and that's your MS division. Well, then your individuality is gone. Where is that ability to separate yourself, differentiate yourself? The reason this division was created was to be able to show, even though I may not be married or even though I may be a little bit older, I still have the ability to be able to have the respect from other people for being something unique. Just because I'm older doesn't mean I can't work a runway. Just because I'm not married doesn't mean I'm not the flyest thing on the stage. Everybody should get their spotlight moment. And I like that a lot of pageants are coming around to it a little bit more, that everything is differentiated. So you can see that, yeah, I may be divorced, but look what I can do. You're getting to be able to see it doesn't matter what lifestyle that you live. The lifestyle that's perfect for you is perfect for that system.
Absolutely. And you mentioned other pageant systems coming around to that. Even Miss USA, the recent changes with that
Oh, yeah.
organization. Um, that's definitely in line with what you just said for sure. And we mentioned at the beginning that you recently gave up your title. What is your advice for queens who are coming out on closing their reign?
Well, regardless of closing out your reign or not, I don't technically think your reign is over because you still will always carry that title for the rest of your life. So just because 2022, 2023 is over doesn't mean that I can't stop being that person. What Cosmos did was they actually have a masquerade ball every year, and they'll let queens come in and they'll get to wear their crowns and sashes again to celebrate their year, which is really cool. But you're remembered for what you did with your reign. So why are you making it have a stopping point? Why can't it be something that can continue? And then maybe add another title on top of that. Let what you do lead into the next thing so that there's never a stopping point of your self growth. There's never a stopping point of being able to understand yourself.
And you saying that makes me, put the thought in my head. When you're the national title holder or the state title holder, you still want to be thinking like you were when you were that competitor, right? And when you were that competitor, you're probably researching who had this title 5 years ago, 4 years ago, 3 years ago. And so, as the national title holder or the state title holder, you have to think queens are, I don't want to say stalking, but researching you to see what your year looked like as the title holder and what it did for you and what you're doing now. So,
Mhm.
what you're doing now is still having an impact on that specific system. So, like you said, you're still going to be a face way after your reign is over.
Exactly.
Yeah. What was the most memorable moment of your reign?
Oh my gosh. My most memorable moment, I would think, would probably be when we had a Southern States pageant. It was the first time that I actually got to travel with one of my younger sister queens, and we went all the way to Tennessee. I mean, it doesn't seem that far. I want to say it was maybe 4.5 hours. But when we went there, we weren't just title holders. We were suddenly all hands on deck. You could truly see sisterhood. We were sitting there helping the contestants steam their dresses. We were helping them walk on stage. I was helping the littles figure out where to go, giving them that boost of confidence that they need, cheering for them backstage. You suddenly became family beyond family. You could see that extension, and being able to be a good representation for my little taught her how to be a role model for her little. So I was continuing the circle of how can I be somebody who's a positive expression in the community? How can I be somebody who's going to represent this is greatness in my heart? This is all within me. I want to be able to be a part of this for the rest of my life. How can I do that? And it showed her no matter what I do, I'm going to be able to make a difference. I'm going to be able to show other people what I do matters. And it's important to show that no matter how big or small you are, your voice matters.
Now, I've got a two-sided question for you.
Okay.
Um, it's what is the best advice you've been given, and what do you think the best advice you have given?
The best advice I've been given is never be afraid to step out of the box. We get so worried and fixated on that idea of this is ideal, this is what this person did, this is what you should do, and the boundaries of the box are staying there for you. You're not willing to step out of that box because you're worried and in fear of what's to come. If you step out of the box, you learn that there are different techniques, there are different tips, there are different tricks, that while what was given to you may not work for you, going out and exploring other expectations will actually open up the doors to being able to try new things. And it gave me the ability to understand more about myself because I wasn't locked in. And the best advice that I could give somebody is trust in yourself, trust in others, because other people are there to be able to support you and love you. There's nobody who's ever against you, no matter what the pageant world says. Everybody is always going to be your biggest cheerleader, but you have to also cheer for yourself. We are cheering for other people, we're cheering for ourselves, and that's going to build up that self esteem that we're looking for. If you're willing to build somebody up and they're willing to build you up, the faith that you should have in each other should also be the amount of faith that you have in yourself. So if I've got 10 people behind my back with everything that I do, I need to know those 10 people are in my heart, which are going to push me up to be the best that I can be and my limits and push me to being above and beyond that. I am that person. I am that.
Great advice. Great advice. And let's talk about mental health for a minute.
Mhm.
Mental health is a really big topic in pageantry lately. How can we continue to keep it relevant and also highlight how important it is beyond the pageant world?
Well, we have to think about it, whether we see it as much or not, but COVID still exists. The
Mhm.
impact that it had on everyone was detrimental. You've got people who are cooped up in their homes, people who couldn't gain access to medication, people who couldn't gain access to the outside world. That that this carried on into the understanding that we all have internal battles that we're fighting. Whether you could be the happiest person in the world, there's always something in the back of your mind that we want to be able to find ways that we can communicate with people, talking things out and finding that comfort. So I think having the ability to have a way where you can communicate with other people, whether it's a group or whether it's a Facebook chat, something where other people are willing to communicate. And you can do that by simply going up to somebody and asking, "How are you?" You'll get that, "I'm good, how are you?" But being able to say, "Well, is there anything that you'd like to talk about?" You being the one to open the doorway to them will open up more because you're showing that you're a trusting person and you're willing to help. And it gives them the ability to say, "Oh, this is somebody that I can rely on." And constantly, constantly checking in with people. "Hey, I hope you're having a great day. Hey, I'm thinking of you today." Just putting yourself in that ability where you're being a shoulder for somebody to lean on helps too.
Yeah. And I think that's one thing that we sometimes are kind of missing. I know we always say check on your strong friends and
Mhm,
just check on your people regardless, but it's like are we actually doing that in the way that,
mhm.
you just said? And while we're on that topic, what keeps you motivated?
I think what keeps me motivated is every single child around me. I'm lucky that I'm surrounded by them 24/7. Sometimes I'm not so glad, but I think I am because these are people that are relying on you to guide them through everything. So by me taking that initiative and asking them how they are, or letting them know, "Hey, if you need anything, you know you can talk to me," or me even reaching out to other people and saying, "I think I have something heavy on my heart. I need to talk to you." Showing that it's okay to be vulnerable, showing that it's okay to express yourself gives them the understanding that it's okay to do that and put yourself in those kind of situations where you can be able to push yourself beyond, and then it doesn't become a struggle, but rather a community reaching to be able to help each other. The outreach becomes something where we can be able to become not necessarily uniform in thoughts, but more sacrificial to our time. We're more willing to put our time out there to help other people, that we become a little bit more understanding as well.
And do you have any rituals or maybe self affirmations that you say that help you with that motivation or that self confidence?
Yeah, so every day I wake up and I write 10 things that I'm grateful for. The 10 things may end up being the same another day. They may be interchangeable. There may be something new, but I base it off of the day before. What was something that really happened? Oh, I remember somebody held the door open for me. So I'm grateful for graciousness. Or maybe I was at the stoplight and somebody blew the horn at me because I was sitting and I didn't move as fast. Well, I'm grateful that I did that, because what I did was I taught somebody patience.
Mhm.
So it gives me different things. It doesn't necessarily have to be, I woke up today. While that is something that eternally I'm grateful God gives me every day, it's something that I take for granted. I want the 10 things to be things that I would normally take for granted. Like, oh, I didn't go at the red light. So what? No, that's a big deal. You taught patience, but also they brought alertness to you and attention. So you're gaining life skills in everything that you do.
And I think that's a great practice for a lot of people to do is, whatever way you practice gratitude, you're doing it in a very tangible way. So I think I'm actually gonna start doing that too.
Yeah, I've got a huge notebook. And then, if I ever feel like I'm having a mental day where I need to take time for myself and gather my thoughts, I'll go through that and be like, wow, look at all these great things that happened to me, or all these great things that I learned. And then it puts into perspective that no matter how bad of a day that you're having, the good days will always outweigh the bad ones. The good experience will always outweigh the bad ones.
As a pageant resource such as ourselves, what is something you would like to see more of coming from us and from the pageant community?
I would love to see more queens engaging with each other. That's something you don't get to see. You may see queens of the same system, but what about queens of different systems? Being able, even if it's in the interview process, being able, I know you do the weekly interviews, but being able to have a chance where multiple queens can talk to each other, kind of like a little tea time chat where everybody gets to hang out. I know it's not Starbucks, but getting that time where you can get to know what other people are doing. And that gives you the opportunity to learn about other systems as well. So you can figure out which system is the best for you.
Yeah, that's actually really interesting. And what that reminds me of is during the Crystal Stewart era of Miss USA, when instead of
Mhm.
on stage question, they were doing like the kind of round table kind of
Yeah.
thing, maybe a little bit more relaxed.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's definitely interesting, and yeah, we'll keep that in mind. Thank you for that feedback.
Cool.
So we are going to play a really fun and interactive game of this or that. I'll
Okay.
give you two options. It's going to be kind of like rapid fire, and you just tell me which one you want. And we're going to go through them. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Dress with or without slit?
Ooh, with
Natural or filled in eyebrows?
filled in.
Sleeves or no sleeves for evening gown?
No sleeves.
Ball gown or mermaid?
Ooh, mermaid.
Dress or jumpsuit?
Oh, dress.
One or two piece swimsuit?
Two.
Jeans or leggings?
Leggings all the way.
On stage question or interview?
Interview.
Long or short nails?
Short.
First pageant with or without a coach?
Going back and reflecting on things, I would definitely say with.
Jacket or hoodie?
Hoodie.
Curly or straight hair?
Definitely curly because I got a bunch of it.
East or West Coast?
Ooh, I'm on the East Coast. I'm going to love it forever.
Swimsuit or evening gown?
Swimsuit.
Sneakers or stilettos?
Stilettos.
Yeah. Oh, we already did interview our answers question. Early bird or night owl?
Definitely a night owl.
And practice or wing it?
Practice.
Okay. Well, Melanie, thank you so much for giving us the chance to learn who you are, learn more about Cosmos, and really just get that inspiration from you, throughout your journey in pageants and just learning what that was like. Is there anything else you would like to leave with our audience today, or just let us know how we can follow you and what you're going to be up to in life after the crown?
Yeah, well, I have an Instagram and everyone can follow me there. But I just want to reach out to you and tell you thank you for making a safe place for all pageant queens. You give them a place where they can be themselves, where we can all embrace and support each other. And there's not a place like that where we can be able to do that often. So thank you for making a safety and a home for all of us.
Yes, and that is our absolute goal. So thank you for that recognition. We're going to continue to interview queens just like yourself and give y'all that platform to share who you are with the pageant audience. But thank you again. And thank you, everybody, for joining us for our weekly interviews of Beauty Queens Galore. I'm Taylor Martin, and we just interviewed Melanie Vaughn, who was our Ms. Cosmos United States 2022. We'll see you again for our next interview. Bye.